Hey, in this video, I'm going to be explaining why people are going to treat you differently when you awaken to your true self. This is very real. People are going to treat you differently. They're going to speak to you differently. They're going to interact with you differently. Everything's going to change about your relationships. So what I want to do here is I want to explain why this occurs. To begin with, we're going to look at how most people interact, how most people carry themselves through life on this three-dimensional level. So at the level of three-dimensional reality, it's all about survival. Survival of the fittest. It's always been this way. This is the grossest, densest level, the most outermost level that most people believe is the truth. So at this level, ego living, we kind of compare ourselves to others. As Jordan Peterson would say, there's a social hierarchy, which is very, very real at the level of 3D. So we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. We're putting ourselves in hierarchies. This person has more than me. This person has less than me. And we just kind of slot ourselves in this hierarchy, seeing where we think we fit in comparison to others. And this works on a macro level as well. So there's always been people in this world who seem to have more power or money or wealth than others. And these people seem to go at the top, and the people who have less are seen as like the beggars, the peasants who don't have much, and they go at the bottom, right? And it's still like this. It's always been like this. This works on a macro level and on a micro level. On a micro level, that's just you going about your business, like just comparing yourself to someone because maybe they're better looking than you, or they have nicer clothes, or they have more money, or a more attractive partner. So that's three-dimensional reality, which most people are functioning at. Now, when you awaken to your true self, you'll have a few realizations. The very first realization is that you are being, and being is independent of anything that you have or possess. So being is the same for everybody. You can be a beggar with nothing, or you can be the richest man in the world. Being is still the same being. Okay? And when you have that realization, you may have a deeper realization, which is that being is like a field of consciousness. Being is not exclusive to just you. Being is infinite, and everything that exists everywhere throughout all of time came from being or consciousness. When you have that realization, you'll hopefully have the deeper realization, which is just what I've said, that everything comes out of being. Every single person comes from the same source. And you probably heard this before in religions and texts and spiritual videos, but when you recognize your true self, that will be an automatic realization. It's like an aha moment. It's like, oh, right, I get it now. The source of everything and everybody is the same. So at the deepest level, you understand reality. Because you understand it at the deepest level, the grossest level, the densest level, the 3D, which most people are living at, it just loses its hold. It doesn't have as much power anymore. Before, obviously, you were looking up at people, thinking this person's got so much more than me. I've got so little. This person's better than me. But now you see everything as the same. No one's better than anybody. Okay? There's just being. And so the way you show up completely changes. Because before, in the 3D world, even if you weren't consciously comparing yourself to others, unconsciously it's going on for most people. Unless you've got a very, very healthy self-esteem and self-worth, most people are comparing themselves, whether they realize it or not. We're always looking up at people. Look at things like social media, influencers, celebrities. I think eventually celebrities and like these famous people you see on TV, it's just not going to be a thing anymore. No one's going to care. The only reason they appear to be so important is because you don't know who you are. So you are projecting your own worth onto them, right? And making them out to be something bigger than they actually are. And they probably don't really know who they are either. But when you find your own worth being, you find your worth, right? And you stop projecting on other people. You stop putting other people on a pedestal. And when you do that, how you show up will completely change. Before, you might have seen someone who was more attractive than you. Let's say, for example, you're a guy. You're in a club, you're in a bar, you see a very beautiful girl. Before, that might have overwhelmed you. This is something a lot of guys struggle with. When you realize you are being, she is being, then the external beauty, although you can admire it, just doesn't have the same hold over you. Before, you might have been fumbling all your words. You don't know what to say. You want to impress her so she likes you. All that goes. You know what she is at her very, very core, at a deeper source. You will understand her probably deeper than she understands herself, unless she's had these realizations herself. So then the way you show up is completely different, right? You'll interact differently. Your energy will be different. You will not be looking for approval from her. You will not be looking for approval from anybody. You'll have your own approval. You will know at the deeper source what everybody is. You'll understand that no one is better than anybody. And like I said, this completely changes the way you interact. I see a lot of people playing the game at three-dimensional reality, trying to climb this social hierarchy, thinking I need to get more. When I get more, people are going to like me. I'll be better validated. I'll get people's approval. You can play that game if you want, right? You can spend your whole life playing that game, or you can just come back to who you are. And that you win that game by default. Game's won. You could meet the richest person in the world. You may admire them a little bit, but you're not going to put yourself below them in any way. You just won't do it. Okay, and this is why all your relationships will change. The way you come at people will be completely different. Your micro mannerisms will change. You don't understand, when we are unconsciously comparing ourselves to others, just little things like tone of voice, body language, the way we carry ourselves, just micro mannerisms, the things that we do unconsciously send off signals that I think you're better than me. But when you realize no one's better than anybody, and you don't need to put anybody on a pedestal, all their micro mannerisms will change. Your worth will then be expressed in all these micro mannerisms. So the way that you speak will be slightly different. The way that you carry yourself will be slightly different. All of it will change. And as a byproduct of that, people will treat you accordingly. So it's not that people will see you and think you're some amazing being of light with like magnificent aura. I mean, maybe that'll happen, but I don't think that's it. They'll treat you differently because the way you are treating them, the way you are seeing them is different. They won't be able to help but treat you differently, to treat you with more respect. Instead of you always looking up at them because you think they have more than you, which is, again, a game you will never ever win. Okay, so this is how Awakening is going to completely change your life. Okay, all your relationships. So that's everything I'm going to talk about. This is a very, very powerful thing to realize, and I hope many of you have this realization soon. So that's all I've got to talk about. If you enjoyed the video, if you could please go ahead, give it a like, share, subscribe. But until next time, God bless.